speaker here in the program. The last one of the program is Jonathan van Beek of ILVO. And Jonathan is coordinator of Approved Smart Farming 4.0 and will give a glimpse of some more applications that are possible. So Jonathan, we will listen to you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I will be the last speaker to inspire you with some of the other cases ILVO is working on, ILVO and partners, of course. And the first one is a study we have just started, an exploratory study of wine quality, where we look at different parameters to indicate the quality that were all measured under ISO standard conditions. And based on literature, we know that for several parameters, we can get a good model based on hyperspectral and NIR measurements, as seen on the right. But what we hope to do in this study is to repeat this campaign for 85 different Belgian wine samples and to provide a Belgian calibration model for wine quality during the entire process of making wine. A second application is coming from the Optima Horizon 2020 project, where they use hyperspectral image sensors to detect different diseases in fruits and vegetables. Here indicated by alternaria in carrots and a downy mildew in grapes. And at the bottom left, you can see the signature, the hyperspectral signature based on an IMEC hyperspectral sensor for healthy leaves and leaves with mildew signs. And based on those measurements, we can, and the VIP scores were mentioned in the previous Q&A, based on those measurements, we can build up a model and define the relevant wavelengths to distinguish and determine whether or not leaves are in fact infected or not. And for alternaria and downy mildew, based on the small data set that was built by the partners in the Optima project, these were the relevant wavelengths for those diseases. And delineating the relevant wavelengths is important, and it is shown in the animation in the top right, where we go from the visible to the near infrared. And what you can see is a potato plant infected with alternaria disease. And within the entire visible region, you see really no signs of alternaria. And starting from the red edge to the near infrared, we see the leaf damage shown in those wavelengths. So selection of relevant wavelengths is very important, but it's also very dependent on the case on which you want to detect diseases. And these results were created in the project Living Lab Smart Farming 4.0, where we use spectral sensors for detecting diseases, one alternaria, as I mentioned, and another one fire blight in pear orchards, but based on similar technologies and similar models to analyze the data. And why do we know for certain that what we see is alternaria? We are carrying out experimental an experiment on experimental fields, where we use, as you can see on the top right, a plastic cover to maintain a high humidity of within the potato crop that we just infected. And based on those infections, we clearly see that in the plots that we have infected, we only spot alternaria disease. And on the bottom left, you can see an alternaria infection on a potato plant. And what everybody is probably wondering is, why is the plant orange? These are images from a modified RGB image or a modified RGB camera, where we removed the red band and replaced it with a near-infrared band. So what you see here clearly is the healthy leaf areas are orange because they have a very high reflectance in that band, and the red or the black spots are the alternaria lesions that are clearly visible based on this image. And the last inspirational case I want to provide you and give you is coming from the Spectrofoot project, where we are using hyperspectral images to estimate the quality of different food products. So in this project, we at the moment focus on broccoli, mushrooms, apples, and leeks. And ILVO is responsible for the leek part. And what we try to do is use hyperspectral cameras pre and post harvest. So pre-harvest in the field from a drone platform, and post harvest with a prototype conveyor belt with the same hyperspectral image sensor that Simon was showing you. And based on these setups, we can correlate these hyperspectral images with quality assessments such as color, firmness, water content, soluble solids, dry matter, and many others. And on the top right, a hyperspectral image of those leek plants is shown. And what we want to do is combine this with the destructive quality measurements. And as I mentioned, we want to do it pre and post harvest. But what is important in this project is we want to step away from the destructive, or as much as possible, step away from destructive measurements, and to get to use hyperspectral images to estimate the influence of packaging, storage, and shelf life throughout the entire food chain. Now, within this project, we also had the possibility to provide advice. So if you are interested in the possibilities of hyperspectral data, especially hyperspectral images and analysis of those data, if you are interested in these project results, the previous ones, but also from other speakers, please contact us for advice. We are able to carry out feasibility studies, prototyping, as Simon mentioned. And within the Spectrofoot project, we also have the possibility to collect a small demonstration data set that will allow you to evaluate if hyperspectral information and imagery is useful for your application. So please feel free to contact us with questions and interesting applications. That was all from my side.